All right. Hello. How is everyone doing tonight? We are so excited for this pivotal conversation tonight. We are going to be talking about immigration justice. So, we want to hear from you tonight in the comments. Tell us where you're coming from. We are so glad that you're out here with us tonight. It is December, it is coming to the end of the year. We are probably all pretty tired and so ready for the holidays, but the world doesn't stop for holidays and the world doesn't stop when we're tired. And so the fight continues. So let us know where you're coming from in the chat. And also be aware the chat is a place for community. So we are heavy handed on the ban hammer in our comment section. If you are being obnoxious, if you're spamming the chat, if you're being abusive in the chat, we will block and ban your comments. So be excellent to each other in the chat. Leave room for each other to talk. If you have questions, we will be coming back to them at the end of the session with a Q&A. So make sure you drop your questions in the chat too. So welcome everyone. Thanks for coming out. Looks like we have both coasts already covering the whole country. Thanks for being here. All right. So we also want to give a little bit of context on how we work as an organization, as how we want to work together within the chat. So we do have some working agreements. The core tenets of these come from a place of curiosity. Ask each other questions. Don't assume malintent. Assume best intentions of each other. And ask each other questions if you need clarification. So make sure you check those working agreements. And hey, if you want to borrow them for your own organizations, by all means, we more than welcome it. Again, keep submitting your questions as well as the night goes on. If you have them, the speakers may not stop to answer your questions right then and there, but stick around to the end of the session and they will get answered then. All right. Hey, we got some Eastern Panhandle. We got Eugene, Vermont. Hello, Oceanside. It is really nice here in sunny Southern California still. We're very fortunate, aren't we? And by the way, I should introduce myself. I'm Risa. I am the digital manager here at Women's March. Happy to be with you tonight. Now, make sure that you are dropping where you're coming from in the chat. All right. Thanks for being here with us tonight. I know it is it's a really heavy topic tonight. And for a lot of us, this hits really close to home. So we are really appreciative. And you know what? If you do need to step away from the conversation as it does get heavy, this is being recorded, so it will live on YouTube and it'll be available to rewatch tomorrow if you need to come back to it. Or if you just need to come back to it and you want to recap something that you didn't catch quite the first time, that's a great idea. Catch it on YouTube. Additionally, if you need closed captioning to be able to participate and fully immerse yourself tonight, we recommend joining us on Facebook. Facebook has caught up on the tech to do live captioning. So if you need that, which I completely understand, make sure to join us on Facebook. And my cat says hello too. All right, so tonight we are talking about immigration, and we've seen a lot happening over the course of the last year. And in a free America, we would live up to the promise of opportunity, liberty, and justice for all who yearn to breathe free. But all year, we've seen the Trump administration escalate extra-legal immigration enforcement activity. His mouthpieces have ramped up the rhetoric, claiming from one side of their mouths that they're targeting criminals and the worst of the worst, but justifying going after children, workers, and dreamers by claiming that anyone without documentation is inherently a criminal. The consequences have been dire. We've all seen videos of home invasions without warrants, racial profiling that leads to detentions of US citizens, illegal traffic stops, people pulled out of their cars without cause. People have been turned away at their naturalization ceremonies, kidnapped from their immigration court hearings, despite doing it the right way. People have been deported to countries that they've never known, imprisoned in Salvadoran concentration camps for unfounded and unproven allegations without so much as a whiff of due process. People have been captured and disappeared, moved around to be lost in the system. We've heard the story of Annie Lucia, a dreamer who was unlawfully deported when she was going home to surprise her parents for the holidays, and her family, who was targeted by ICE for daring to speak out on her behalf. We've heard the story of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, who was sent to El Salvador CICOT without cause, whose journey to freedom has taken most of this year. Families are being torn apart, and we're not going to stand idly by while it happens. Tonight, we're envisioning a free America where immigrants are treated justly as neighbors, friends, family, colleague, classmates, and contributors to the diverse tapestry of who we are and who we aspire to be as a nation. So let's dive in. We're going to start tonight with our guests from the Texas Immigration Law Council, which was founded in 2023 after an advisory group of 14 nonprofit leaders and grant makers came together and recognized that there was a missing element in the state's immigrant justice ecosystem, a nonpartisan center that could serve as a statewide base to make new expert resources available to legal service providers and for coordinating public policy work. Today, the Texas Immigration Law Council exists to protect and promote the rights of immigrants and refugees of all nationalities in Texas. So from the Texas Immigration Law Center, thank you for joining us, Sal.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having me tonight, and thanks for the introduction. You basically share what I wanted to share about my organization. I think my background is backwards, reverse, I guess. I tried to change it, but I couldn't do it. So there you're supposed to see my contact information and my title. My name is Salvador Gutierrez, and I'm the Outreach Coordinator and Communications Associate at the Texas Immigration Law Council. As it was mentioned before, we are a nonprofit that serves the state of Texas. We're nonpartisan, and we exist to protect and promote the rights of immigrants and refugees across the state of Texas. My organization tries to support these impacted communities from different fronts, and one of them is something that we call the Panhandle Project, which is a project that I manage. I am stationed in Amarillo, Texas, and the Panhandle Project covers the 26 counties of the Texas Panhandle. So this is one of the fronts where we try to fight for the rights of immigrants and refugees in this area of Texas, and that's because the Texas Panhandle is considered a legal desert in the state of Texas, which means that we don't have as many resources and organization available to support the impacted communities that we serve as we have them in other areas of Texas, such as in South Texas or Central Texas, cities like San Antonio, Austin, Houston, Laredo. And so we started this project right when we started the organization 2 years ago. And we came into the area thinking that it was going to be one way. We thought it was going to be kind of easy to connect with organization and attorneys present in the area, but we quickly found out that that was not going to be the case. When we started the project, we realized that we only had 2 organizations that provided free or low-cost services for immigrants and refugees that serve the whole Texas Panhandle, the 26 counties. And one of them was had a limited jurisdiction to 2 counties, which is Cactus and Dumas, Texas. And so it turned out to be very complicated. We didn't have or we couldn't find the resources or organizations that we thought we were going to be counting on to push our mission. So we had to refocus the kind of like the mission of the project, and we had to start listening to the community and listening to the different communities and these different towns to see what was needed. In my organization, because of our grants, we don't provide direct representation, or we have attorneys on staff, but they don't take clients. So we don't offer direct immigration legal services. We offer other types of support to these impacted communities. So we learned that in the Panhandle of Texas, that's one of the most needed services, but we're limited by our grants. So we try to help with other resources. So what we started to do, what we started was to do active listening in these communities, and we started with Amarillo because this is where I am stationed. This is where I live. I've been here for 13 years, and so we learned rapidly that one of the first things that we needed to do was start doing free consultations. That's one of the things that we can provide to the impacted communities. So we started doing free consultations to immigrants and refugees, different organizations throughout the area of Amarillo, Texas, through the two counties that cover Amarillo, Texas, that are Randall and Potter. We created partnerships with churches and nonprofits that help victims of human trafficking, nonprofits that help the Hispanic community in Amarillo, Texas. And through them, we started connecting with the community. Then our next step was to create outreach groups where I recruited people in the community, from local leaders to business owners and just your average stay-home mom that just wanted to be active in the community. So we created these groups that now we call Peace, Panhandle Education and Community Empowerment, that became our eyes and ears in the community in Amarillo, Texas. And through them, we learned that we needed to start pushing agendas around this town. We learned that we needed to support the Amarillo community, especially the immigrant community, to go and raise their voice in the Amarillo Independent School District. When back in February or March, if I'm not wrong, there was a fear of ICE coming into the schools and then taking kids and taking them to detention and then using them or utilizing them to lure the parents and then detain them as well. So we learned that the community was scared, the immigrant community was scared. So we created a group of people from the Peace Group, and we went to the board meetings of the Amarillo Independent School District, and we asked questions, and we raised our voice, and they listened to us, and then they provided the necessary information to make our community feel more confident and help them keep trusting the Amarillo Independent School District. Through this group, we also learned that people were scared of ICE presence in the area. So we replicated these outreach groups in other little towns, such as Dalhart, Texas, Hereford, Texas, Lubbock, Texas, and each one of those groups is different. They all have different members. They all have different levels of engagement. Some of them are more engaged than others. Some of them are more responsive than others. But all of them help me understand what's going on in these different counties through the Texas Panhandle and to know what we have to do. I'm backed up by 3 managing attorneys in the Texas Immigration Law Council that are the ones that are always online and available for me when we have questions. And so these groups help me create programs or strategic planning that then we can execute with the help of the managing attorneys. So things that we do is, for example, creating educational materials for different audiences in the community, for impacted members of the impacted communities that we serve, stakeholders, employers, community colleges. We pay attention to what's going on at the national level and the state level, and our attorneys in the organization study law, the new law, or changes to the law and policy, how they're going to affect our communities at different levels, how they're going to directly affect immigrants, refugees, and how they're going to affect nonprofits that provide services for these impacted communities, and how they're going to affect colleges and business owners. So we reinterpret or interpret what these changes mean, and then we create different ways to communicate it to different audiences. And so we do that. We create materials like flyers, posters. We have this new resource that is kind of substituting the flyers, which is a QR code that looks like a coaster. Well, it could be a coaster, but it's actually a sticker. We have it in English and Spanish. And in this code, when people scan it, it takes them to a link tree that includes resources like how to find a loved one if it's taken to detention. I have it right here. How to work the ICE online detainee locator. It has resources on know your rights, what to do if a loved one is detained, community safety resources. And it has more than 10 different links to different resources that we have put together. Some of them we have created them, and some others we have gathered from other organizations that do similar work to the one we do. And another thing that we do is we provide trainings and educational sessions for all types of audiences. Just to cite some examples, sometimes for the impacted communities, we do know your rights sessions, or we just do open Q&A sessions where people come and they ask questions about, hey, what's going on? Can I buy a car? I heard that now us immigrants without paperwork cannot buy a car or register cars. Do I send my kids to school? And we have this type of Q&As for them. We do in person and online, lately mostly online, because we understand that these impacted communities that we serve are at risk, and we don't want to put them all together in one place. So we do it like that. Just this past week, the 3 attorneys that support my project, they came to the Texas Panhandle and they spent 3 days here. And we actually had a meeting with I don't know if I can mention that, but with some non-traditional, that now are some non-traditional allies that want to remain anonymous. But they are people that supported this administration and that put this administration in place, but now they're struggling with what's happening at the everything level, right? So they reached out to us and they said, hey, we want to learn more about what's going on. We want to understand it because we feel like we don't understand what's going on, and it's affecting our people, our community, and it's affecting us. My goal, I'm just going to share that my goal is that at some point these people come out and publicly express their concerns instead of hiding. But right now, I think we're in a good track with them. And then also that same weekend, we had presentations for local churches where people that are not part of the impacted communities wanted to learn more about what's going on and how to help. And we also had a meeting with advocates that asked questions, and we discussed ways that we can collaborate. So we try to be present in all the area of the Texas Panhandle and start conversations with everybody that we can to educate people. And again, we are a non-partisan organization, so we never really push any particular agenda. We just try to help people and explain the facts. And I think I'm at time. I don't know if I was clear on everything that I said, but that's basically what we do. I wanted to share with all of you this sticker resource. I shared the links, so I don't know if the people from the Women's March can share the links with all of you to the one in Spanish and the one in English. They mostly target the state of Texas, but there might be some information there that could be applied in your or utilized in your states. Just real quick, another project that we started this year. It's a new outreach project with promotoras. We have a group in Amarillo called Mamás del 806. It's a little moms from the community, and we train them on know your rights and how to give a 5-minute speech to people in parking lots about what to do if a loved one is detained. And it was successful. We just started it in November, and we will keep training people this year and next year, 2026. And we started this project because one of our attorneys learned that ICE is giving know your rights presentations in detention centers that are not actually know your right presentations. They're just basically telling people you have no rights, you have no options, self-deport. And then if people ask questions during these sessions, they basically put a target on themselves, and then ICE agents start asking a lot of questions, and then they put themselves at risk of, or not at risk, but they bought people until they sign a paper and they self-deport. So because of that, I wanted to reach my community, our community, before, hopefully not, but before they're detained or taken to a detention center, and they know their rights. So then ICE don't come and say, oh, hey, these are your rights, and they're just lying to the community or to these people. So that's one of the projects that we have here. My organization does more things. We just launched a statewide campaign called Keep Texas Together, where you can, we have a website, which is keeptexastogether.org, and you can visit it and sign a pledge and say, I stand with Texas, and it shares facts about the impact of immigrants in the state of Texas, the positive impact. And we also do a lot of lobbying in Austin, a lot of studying the law. Now we launch a project called AG, Economic Justice Initiative, where we provide non-immigration legal services to low-income immigrants through the state of Texas. So we have a lot going on. I invite you to visit our website. It's right here, but I think it's www.txlc.org. We have a lot of really cool resources there. We have a detention center locator. We have an immigration portal where you can see a lot of data about the impact of immigrants in the state of Texas, and compare by city, compare by county. And I think this week they launched one option where you can compare this data by state. I know that's something that we were working on. I saw it this week, but I don't know if it was just something that they wanted me to look at, or if it's already live. I'm sorry. But it'll be there eventually. And now we also have another resource where you can go and see what is it called? I forgot the name of that new thing that we have in Texas, where sheriffs have to sign and collaborate with ICE. But there are 3 different tiers. So there's a new resource that we have where you can look at a map of the state of Texas and then see what tier the sheriff in your county sign up for. And it's not here yet. Probably it's not live yet. Oh yeah, the 287G agreements. Yeah, thank you so much for that. So yeah, we have that map too. And just to share something with you, we had this meeting with some people in Dalhart. that asked a lot of questions about this 287G deal, and we showed them the map, and they looked at their county, and they were very mad to see, very upset to see what their sheriff had entered, which is the highest tier where the sheriff's office is basically an extension of the eyes of ICE. So we will be working with them. They asked us to go and talk to their sheriff with them. So we're doing as much as we can in the Texas Panhandle and all over the state of Texas. Today actually we hired a managing attorney for the Texas Panhandle project that is going to be supporting me directly, more than the 3 attorneys that we have already. So we will be able to do more. So feel free to reach out. And I think I'm on time, right?
Yes, thank you so much, Sal. You are doing so much, and so much of your work is so incredibly important. It really highlights just the breadth of how much work needs to be done for our immigration system. So thank you so much. We will see you at the end of the session again for the Q&A. And for everyone else here joining us, just so you know, the links that our guests are sharing and talking about are both being shared in the chat. And if you registered for the call, they will also be sent to you afterwards. So don't worry if you miss the resources or if the chat's moving too fast. You will receive those links and that information via email after the session. All right, so our next speaker is Erica, and we're so excited to have her on. So the National Day Laborer Organizing Network, NDLON, improves the lives of day laborers, migrants, and low-wage workers, building leadership and power among those facing injustice so they can challenge inequality, expand labor, civil, and political rights for all. Their aspiration is to live in a world of diverse communities where day laborers live with full rights and responsibilities in an environment of mutual respect, peace, harmony, and justice. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining. I want to just start, we already heard a little bit about NDLON, but yeah, all of our work has been very, very focused on fighting for the rights of day laborers all over the country. We have many organizations that are members of NDLON that have day laborer centers. And I am curious if you want to put on the chat, if you have ever met a day laborer, have worked with a day laborer, have hired a day laborer. If you don't know who they are, these are workers, mostly low-wage workers who gather for work, to seek work, either at Home Depots, other hardware stores, or different corners mostly in bigger cities. So our work is very focused on really fighting for their rights. But I want to start just with a story I heard today from one of our community members that I wanted to share with you because it really impacted me, just my day today. She was just sharing how during the weekend she was courageous enough to go and take her car to the car wash. That sounds like nothing any of us should be worried about, right? Taking your car to the car wash should be something that you just do if you need it in a heartbeat. You just get in the car and you drive. This community member was extremely fearful because she's undocumented. And she decided to be courageous and go to the car wash. So she went there and she asked the 2 ladies who were ready to wash her car if it was okay if she could go into a restaurant that was near the car wash so that she could sit there, because she was afraid of waiting in the car wash, because she had heard on the news that ICE or Border Patrol was raiding car washes all over the country. When the ladies of the workers at the car wash heard that from this community member, they broke down crying, and they said, "Of course, you can go into the restaurant and wait there so that you're safer. Unfortunately, we have no other choice. We're also undocumented, but we have to be here working at the car wash, because if we're not, our kids will not be able to have a meal. that story just broke my heart. And this community member said she hugged them. She hugged both of them, and she said, "I'm sorry that we have to live through this fear. Us workers, we're just here to take back food for our families, for our children." And for me, the takeaway of that story was that what we can learn from the immigrant community in this moment is that there's so much courage and there's so much love for their families, love for the people they have around them. There's so much love that they don't want to leave. There's so much love that they stick around in their job sites, knowing that they could be raided at any moment. And the courage that it takes to show up every day knowing that they could be gone that same day, taken and abducted by Border Patrol or ICE. And that is the same experience that hundreds of workers have every day at day labor corners, at Home Depots. Many of them have already been taken by ICE. Many of them have already been in detention centers. Many of them have already been deported. And yet these workers show up every single day to those corners, to those Home Depots, to seek work. They get the courage to get up in the morning and show up for their families, show up with love, to be able to find the future for their children and their community and their families. So at NDLON, we really it's hard to get motivation sometimes to do the work that we do, because every day there's something horrendous happening in immigration. Something happens every single day, either at the local level or at the national level. But their stories, their courage, and the love that they show for their own families and their communities really inspire us to continue to organize. One of those, the ways in which we have been inspired is to come up with creative campaigns, with creative programs that allow for community members like you, neighbors like you, to show up for day laborers. And I wanted to talk to you about two. One, a program that we have in this moment called Adopt a Corner. Adopt a Corner is something that we put together because we needed to get creative, because there's so many people across this country who are seeking work and have really nobody to look out for them. So we thought, why don't we train people across the country to show up for day laborers? Why don't we tell people to go and adopt a day laborer corner? And we've had an amazing response. We have trained over 6,000 people, and we have showed them how they can show up in solidarity to a day laborer corner, to introduce themselves, to bring conchas, bread, coffee, to bring themselves know your rights cards, and to introduce themselves so that they can start building relationships with the day laborers. And in that way, they can be ready if something happens, and be able to do rapid response work if ICE, Border Patrol, or any other agencies show up. We're going to share a link if you are interested in showing up with love and showing up with courage, as many of these workers do every day, and be in solidarity with day laborers. So if you are interested in learning more on how you can adopt the corner, on how you can get a small group of people in your neighborhood to talk to day laborers, to show up once a week, to take them coffee, to get to know them, and therefore be able to respond if ICE shows up, please go to the link that we're going to be sharing in the comments, so you can sign up to one of our trainings, so you too can be trained to adopt the corner. And the second campaign that we launched this year in response to everything that's going on is our ICE at a Home Depot campaign. One of the main places where day laborers have been arrested is Home Depot, and that's not a coincidence. That was something that the administration announced before they invaded LA with the National Guard, with Border Patrol, with ICE. They said specifically that they were going to go into Home Depots to detain, to arrest, and to deport people, specifically day laborers. And they did. They went and they raided many of the Home Depots, and unfortunately, the store did nothing to prevent, nothing to support the workers, even though they actually gain from the workers being there. They gain from customers who are undocumented. They gain from Latino customers who have been racial profiled in their stores. And yet this powerful, big corporation has said absolutely nothing about the raids that are happening right in front of their stores. So we are asking Home Depot, and we are asking you to join us in pushing and demanding that Home Depot takes a stance against the raids and against all of the atrocities that are happening with workers outside of their stores. You can join our campaign as well. Look up on social media, hashtag ICE out of Home Depot. And the last thing I'll share with you is that, as I said earlier, showing up with love, showing up with courage, but also showing up with creativity is very important for us. And one of the things that we just did earlier this month was that we showed up with one of the most creative actions that I have been part of in a while. We showed up to a Home Depot in California, in Monrovia, California, where a day laborer actually lost his life. When ICE showed up, he ran and he was hit by a car. So we decided to show up to that Home Depot, and we took about more than 200 people, and we bought ice scrapers, basically little tools that they're not even called ice scrapers, but we call them ice scrapers. And we got everybody to buy a $1 ice scraper, and we basically took up the space and the time of the store for a few hours, and then we went back and returned them. And this was really a symbolic action to give this demand and give this really keep the pressure up on Home Depot with the demand that they need to scrape ice out of their stores. If you want to be part of these kinds of campaigns, if you want to be part of these kinds of actions, feel free to follow us on social media, sign up for our training, sign up to be involved with NDLON. And I will say the last thing is that, just like I said before, workers, our people, our communities, our families show so much courage every single day. And this is the moment that we as Americans, that we as people who have so much more in some way the privilege of being either citizens or people who don't have as much to lose, that we get the courage to do what is right in this moment, and that is to fight for those who are the most vulnerable in our society. Thank you all so much, and thank you for inviting me to our amazing Women's March crew. I will pass it back to our host.
Thank you so much, Erica. This really is a moment where there is so much opportunity and so much need to act with courage. And so we'll be talking more about that later, but right now we are really excited to welcome our next guests, Detention Watch Network and AFSC. So we'll start with Detention Watch Network, DWN, which is a national coalition building power through collective advocacy, grassroots organizing, and strategic communications to abolish immigration detention in the United States. Detention Watch Network imagines a world where every individual lives and moves freely, and a society in which racial equity is the norm and immigration is not criminalized. The abolition of immigration detention is part and parcel of struggles against racism, xenophobia, discriminatory policing, and mass incarceration, and their aims coincide with these broader struggles against racialized oppression. And they're also joined by American Friends Service Committee. They work for a just, peaceful, and sustainable world free of violence, inequality, and oppression. They join with people and partners worldwide to meet urgent community needs, challenge injustice, and build peace. And just this week, they're wrapping up Immigrants Week of Action, which we're really excited to hear about. So welcome, Amy and Nancy.
Thank you so much, Risa. And I'm so glad to be able to be sharing this space with all of you today as we are learning different ways that you can take action in your community. So as Risa shared, my name is Nancy Palacios. I am our organizing and membership director at DWN, and I'll be sharing just briefly a little bit of some of the work that we're doing across the country and ways that you can get involved. And one of the ways that we partner locally is with wonderful organizations like AFSC, who will be with us to share more details on what they've been doing. But one of our active campaigns that we have currently is the Communities Not Cages campaign. And as Erica was sharing, our neighbors and people across the country are really coming together to be able to protect each other. And through this campaign, it's another opportunity to protect family members, our neighbors, friends, in the face of this administration's constant attacks on kidnapping communities from our vicinities, from our neighbors, from our churches, from our schools, and creating these dehumanizing detention centers. Currently, this detention facility is one of the most funded, right? It's one of the agencies that has the largest funding across the country by a bill that was passed earlier this year. And currently, there's more funding to be able to open up more detention centers, to have more officials on the ground, folks who are undercover, folks who are not even trained, detaining people and causing abuse on our communities. The Communities Not Cages campaign has 3 dedicated branches, which is stopping detention. So completely stopping any detention facility from being opened before it actually opens up in your community. Uplifting communities, making sure that we're centering the families and people most impacted. And overall, just shrinking the system so that every detention center can be closed in our communities. We know that if a detention center exists in your community, it will be used. We have seen how many detention facilities that have been closed in the past have been reopening, have been repurposed, right? Have been expanding any opportunity they can get through these 287G agreements, through different types of intergovernmental agreements that allow for your local government to participate in what's supposed to be a federal process. And through that, and by wanting to shrink the system, we also make sure that we advocate and do campaigns locally to shut down the facilities that are already open. So we're going to share a couple of links in a second, but one of the opportunities that you have is to sign a petition that goes to Congress to just completely just say, we don't want any more expansion. We want you to be able to stop expanding these centers into our communities. We don't want them. They make us less safe. People need to be with their families, and detention should not exist. And we will also share an opportunity to have you sign a petition around ending family detention. Unfortunately, there are detention centers in this country that are holding mothers, fathers, and children, specifically in the Dilley, Texas area. That has been a longstanding detention center that has been holding families for quite some years. And, they can have all the programs in the world. It's still not a place for families to be detained. And so we have to stand up against it. Aside from being able to support local organizations on stopping the expansion of detention centers and shutting down, we also produce webinars throughout the year with different information on how detention works, who are the active players of detention. We create reports. We just released a report this week around military bases and how military bases are being used and repurposed under Trump 2.0 to be able to reach the expansion at larger scale to detain families across our country. We'll make sure we share a link of that report with you. In that report, you can find a series of different calls to action that you can take part in your community, among also joining local days of action that we are doing, throughout the year with folks like AFC. So with that, I want to turn it over to you, Amy, so you can talk about the wonderful actions that have just taken place and any opportunities that folks can have moving forward to also continue to take action and standing up for our neighbors.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Nancy, and for the invitation to be here tonight. I'm really honored to be in the presence of such amazing organizers and activists. I'm a longtime fan of NDLON and DWN and learning more about the local work in Texas is just really inspiring. So thank you for the invitation. And just to say really briefly, American Friends Service Committee is a Quaker organization. We are based in Philadelphia. We have been around for over 100 years, going on 117, I think. Is that possible? No, 107. A lot of years doing peace and justice work around the world. And one of our primary issues has always been working for the rights and dignity of people on the move and people who are immigrants, people who are migrants, people who are displaced. And recently, we just today, International Migrants Day, we just are completing as we speak the end of a week of action. We've done these weeks of action now for almost 20 years. We call this our Journey to Human Rights. This year, we're leaning into the Stronger with Immigrants theme. And we start on December 10th, which is International Human Rights Day. We end on December 18th, International Migrants Day. And we basically, excuse me, invite organizations from around the country to participate in any type of action that they feel helps support the dignity and rights of immigrants in their communities. So this year we had some really lovely actions, and I just really want to highlight an action that happened in Denver, Aurora, Colorado yesterday that was co-sponsored by Jewish Voice for Peace in the Denver area. Because one of the members, longtime members of AFSC's organizing work, a very well-respected longtime organizer in the movement, Jeanette Vizquera, who's been detained at the Aurora Detention Center, which is run by GEO. Jeanette's been detained there for 9 months. Jeanette had a federal court decision yesterday ordering a bond hearing tomorrow. So the vigil really turned into a space for people to come and support Jeanette and to recognize that she may be released tomorrow. So please send all your thoughts and prayers and energy. We have a press release on the AFSC website talking about Jeanette's case. And it's a really, really exciting moment. We have a couple of events in Colorado. We had events in Minnesota. We had an event in New Orleans. We had interfaith vigil at the Miramar ICE facility in Miami. We had tonight actually a letter writing campaign in our New Jersey office to write letters to a Palestinian woman who's been detained in Louisiana now for months because of speaking out for Palestinian rights. So lots of different types of actions, vigils and things, but really just calling attention to the need for support for programs and opportunities that protect the rights and dignity of all immigrants. AFSC is an organization, is an abolitionist organization. We believe in ending detention, ending deportation, and we invite everyone to join us in that struggle. We've been in it for a very long time. There's some links that we can share to our Stronger with Action campaign. We also have a petition. And just as a side note to say that sometimes it feels sort of futile to be signing petitions right now. You know, we know that, you know, anything that's going to the Department of Homeland Security or the White House, they're not necessarily looking at it. But we also know that we can't stop saying what is right. And we can't just sit back and say we're going to wait for them to be gone to fix all this. We are going to be heard. We're going to be in the streets, and we're going to be doing it in a way that kind of respects that, you know, not everybody can be in the streets, right? Not everybody has that capacity or the safety, the security. I really appreciate the story that Erica shared. You know, what's the safety level that people are feeling? But you know, me as a white person, a citizen at the American Friends Service Committee, I feel comfortable going out, and I will do that. And I will invite other people who have that privilege to be out in the streets or speaking out, because it is really, really, really important. And we need to take the guidance from folks who are directly impacted, right? Like, it's not for me to decide what to happen, but we are listening to Jeanette in detention, what she needs, what will be important for her case. And that's how we make the decisions about what actions to do and where we're going to place ourselves and how we're going to speak up to support people. And that's really, really key for our work. So the last thing I'll say is that we have We're launching a series of vigils that are going to be, we think, monthly. We're sort of leaning into Quaker meetings in the communities that we work in, but we are going to be opening them up more broadly. And they're just going to be sort of public witness. We're calling the Love is Action for people to do a silent, powerful witness in support of freedom, in support of all people to be able to live in dignity and to fight back against the incoming sort of fascist and authoritarianism that we've been sadly seeing in our communities. So I'm happy for people to contact me directly. I can give my email in the chat and look forward to questions later. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thanks, Nancy and Amy. We are so excited to hear from you in a few minutes in the chat. So please keep asking your questions. We are going to be getting to those in just a couple minutes. But first, I am so excited to introduce the Women's March Executive Director, Rachel O'Leary Carmona. Under Rachel's leadership, Women's March drove record mobilizations since 2018, playing a key role in defeating Trump in 2020, leading women's in a march, mobilizing over 10,000 people nationwide. Leading over 10,000 nationwide actions in the United States, mobilizing millions in 2022. She also mobilized women in a pivotal 2023 Supreme Court race in Wisconsin, a race that was called the most important of the year by the New York Times. Rachel earned her associate's degree from Madison Area Technical College, and she went on to earn her bachelor's degree in African American Studies from the University of Wisconsin and her master's in public policy from the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, where she focused on leadership development and nonprofit management. She sits on the advisory boards of the Wisconsin Union and the 22nd Century Initiative. Welcome, Rachel.
Hi. It's good to be here. And first of all, I want to show my NDLON swag. I don't know if anyone can see it. NDLON has some of the best swag in the business. So just really happy to be on with these people. Shout out to NDLON, all the good work. I'm also in Amarillo, Texas. So it's always funny to have another Amarillo person on because, you know, people forget about the panhandle. Yeah, so it's great to hear about so much work that's happening both in Texas and across the country. And I'm here to talk a little bit about across the country and kind of like the broader moment that we find ourselves in. And it's a funny week for me to be talking about it because I started this week by driving to go actually pick up my Mexican passport. My father crossed and, you know, crossed and immigrated to the United States and was deported a couple of times. And that played a really defining role in not just who I am, but the composition of my family, the differences in, you know, opportunities that my different siblings had. And so much of, I think, the American story and the both the past and the future of a free America and the promise of a free America is rooted in an immigration story, you know, at some point. So it's just an interesting week for me to be here talking to you all. And I want to thank you all for being on the call and also for all the work that is being done here by the folks who are saying in the chat, like, I'm going to this protest and I'm doing this thing, but also for the folks who are talking about organizing it. When we've thought about a Free America campaign, like, what is it that we're trying to do? And when we're thinking about what a free America, the promise of a free America for free Americans, we're really thinking about how we have the rigor and the thought to meet this moment in a way that feels tangible and it feels real, and it also feels within our ability to do so. And so while we are, you know, working to find ways to escalate and meet the moment. Women's March is obviously known for marches. We also want to think about building tactics and building skill sets for different people, different in different communities and with different people, including non-cooperation. And our upcoming walkout on January 20th is one of those opportunities. It is on a Tuesday. It's in the middle of the day. We are really trying to not just plan a protest, which this is, but it's also a stress test to what it looks like for us to build more muscle around sustained non-cooperation, and how people can be doing, all the things that they can in different lanes to the extent to which they are able, as someone else mentioned earlier. And also, I think it would be a real disservice if we didn't shout out that some of the most direct non-cooperation right now is happening by the people who are protesting and blocking ICE in the streets. And so for me, when I think about Free America and I think about, the folks whose political courage and civic imagination I really admire in this moment, it's just the regular everyday folks who are bullying ICE out of neighborhoods that they don't belong and stopping them from ripping families apart, and are just doing the moral thing, which is oftentimes not the easy thing. So I am, really happy today to just say, I know that I am having problems with the chat. So I wasn't able to see some stuff earlier. So folks are, I'm sure the right links are in there for Free America. So I just suggest that you continue to follow along and think about ways that you might think about getting involved for Free America, whether that's as a volunteer, organizing a walkout, moving into attending one of the non-cooperation trainings that we will have, or just coming to coming to study sessions so that you can learn more about these issues and continue to get involved in ways that feel like the right fit for you. That is going to change over time. Sometimes people can do things. My sister, for example, just had a baby. She can't do the same things that she could do a year ago. So it's just really important for everyone to kind of get in where they fit in. And you heard about different bodies of work related to immigration now. And we have other study sessions that we have done and also ones that you can catch from the past. So yeah, take some stock and really think about what it is that you're called to do in this moment. And if one of those things that you're called to do is to continue to escalate and meet the moment, I would encourage you to go to the Free America. It's freeamera.ca, or you can also get it at womensmarch.com as always, and figure out how you can, be a participant in this this test that we're doing. We're really, it is an opportunity for us to explore and to run an experiment. What is the impact of non-cooperation on non-cooperation? How can we build that muscle up? And how can we begin to fortify ourselves for the not just this moment, but the moments to come? And Risa started the call by saying that this is heavy. It's a very heavy topic, and it is, and it's also a hopeful topic. It's also a topic where we have agency and we can decide not just to be bystanders in the way that the promise of our democracy plays out in America, but we can actually shift and shape and bend the arc of that history with just people power. And we know that to be true because we've done it before, both the we here in the Americas and the we globally who have resisted and beat fascism back in countries all across the world. I know we're short on time. I'm going to end it there. Thank you all so much. I am really honored to be on this particular call, particularly this week.
All right, thank you so much. We actually do have a couple questions and we're going to try to keep it pretty quick. We want to be respectful of everyone's time. So in advance, I want to thank everyone for being here, for being so generous with your time, your thoughts, and with your knowledge. So we're going to start with the first question. What can we do to make it safe for our community members to go to church? And really, I think this also applies for, other spaces that should be otherwise sanctuaries. Sal, I think you might have some unique insights on this. Could you offer some of your thoughts?
Yes, well, parking lots, wherever you go, are public spaces, unless they have a wall or a fence. But even a church, they're a public space. However, if people choose to go to church, we recommend churches that we tell churches is to assign a private area ICE or any other government agency cannot go into a private space in a building. So maybe if where people congregate for the service, if it's just open door and you can just walk in, that's considered a public space. So ICE could just go in. But if the church administration decides to just they just pick an office and they put a sign on the door that says private space, don't or just private space, that's it. If there's a risk of maybe ICE being present at the church leaders can just take people there and to protect them, right? And also we tell them to assign a spokesperson that represents the church, so it doesn't become like a mess where everybody is talking and everybody wants to do something. To just assign someone that represents the church and talks to whoever shows up, and they can keep people at risk in this private area. And that's the same advice that we give to businesses and even schools. However, again, outside of the church, the street, the parking lot, it's considered a public area, so there's not really much that can be done there.
Great. Thank you, Sal.
I would love to can I just add something very quickly? Yeah, I mean, I would say also it's important that even like if you are in a public area, that you do document what's going on as an American citizen or someone who might not have as much of a risk, right? Grabbing your phone and record what's going on if an ICE agent is trying to take somebody, and always say, even on the recording, I have the right to record. It's my constitutional right to record, and a lot of that can be helpful, if they are violating the rights of the people they are arresting. That could be helpful for an attorney to use. And it's also important, as we always teach our adopters, people who go and adopt a coroner, is that they can also let other people know of their rights, without necessarily interfering or putting themselves in a situation where they would be arrested. They can, verbalize, you have the right, if you speak the language of the people who are being arrested, even better. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. Some of those rights that are important for people to know that they have, so that they're not, sort of digging themselves into a worse legal hole if they do end up being detained by ICE or Border Patrol or other agencies.
And Sal, I'm sure you can speak to this. But when we hear you have the right to remain silent, we also hear, please exercise that right? This is something that we really want people to do if they are at risk of really anything. It's something that can and will be used against you if you talk. So can you speak a little bit to that, Sal?
Yes, we recommend that people invoke their rights out loud, and also to not disclose any information that is not requested by the officers. We advise people to ask, am I being detained? If they say yes, you can follow up with what are the reasons you have an order. If they say no, then if they ask, am I being detained? And then the officers say no, people can say, well, am I free to go? But we recommend that people don't start just disclosing information about themselves. Usually what we see is that people panic and then they start saying things. Another thing that we've learned is that officers usually lie. They've been trained to lie. So they can say something like, oh, hey, are you Salvador? And I can say, why are you asking? And they might say, well, we're investigating this identity theft case and it involves you, or are you Salvador? And if I say yes, then they will be like, okay, no, lie, we're here to arrest you. So we've been trying to keep track on how they conduct these detentions, these arrests and detentions, and but we've learned those things. So it gets tricky sometimes. We can advise people one thing, but then again, eyes been trained to lie. So people just gotta be paying attention to what's going on, the way they're dressed, and always like remain silent and invoke their rights if they disclose that they are with a federal agency.
Excellent. Thank you. And then there's a follow-up to this question. Should we provide a barrier around the church?
If you're gonna have the barrier, and then you're gonna have one of those, I don't know the name, I'm sorry, English is my second language, but one of those things that where people have to go through a check-in to go in, then yeah, it protects the parking lot and those areas around the church, right? Because then everybody, not just eyes or people that are attending church, everybody has to go through that check-in point. So then, yeah, you protect the church, but unless you make it very clear that it's not just open to everybody and it's just public access to everybody.
Excellent. All right, we had one more question for the night that we have time for. How do we sign up for the training? Now, there have been a few trainings mentioned, so if everybody could go through and mention any of the trainings that you have coming up, we would love to hear about it.
I can start. Yeah, so if you would like to be trained on how to adopt a corner, that means a day labor corner. We shared a link, and I don't know if someone can help me sharing the link again for the website. This is the website for NDLON, and we do have a calendar there of trainings that we have almost every 2 weeks. We have a training for new people who want to join the campaign. And if you are also interested in joining the I Said at Home Depot campaign, you can also look at that's a website I shared. There's a sign up form that people can use to put their name, and we will be following up with everybody next year.
With my organization, it's actually open to everybody, and you reach out to us requesting a training or a class. All the services and resources that we offer are free. And if a training that you requested is not about something exclusive to the state of Texas, we can also do trainings for other states and cities in other states. So you can just reach out and say like, hey, Sal, I've heard about the 287G in my church or in my workplace or in my community. We want to know more about it. We have a lot of questions about it. We set up a date and time, and all we ask is like, who is going to be the audience, so we know exactly how to tailor the language of the presentation. And we give the presentation, and we also record them and make them available to whoever is hosting this event, so they can share it later. And we can do whatever, like, hey, how we need a presentation or on family preparedness, so for this impacted community. So we just set up date and time, and we do it. So that's how we can do trainings and other sessions for the community.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and I can just for American Friends Service Committee, we're not doing trainings for the vigils. We will be sharing out toolkits if people are interested in organizing a vigil, and I think we will share the landing page for that. We also do trainings regularly at our local offices, and the offices that we have doing immigrant rights work in the U.S. are in Oregon, New Jersey, New Hampshire, Colorado, California, and Florida. So you can just check out our website, and we always have links to events and things happening regularly. And there's often Know Your Rights trainings and other types of trainings that just happen really on a regular basis. So if you're in any of those communities, feel free to.
Yes, and for us, when we do have webinars at Detention Watch, we usually send them out to our list. So we shared a link for you to sign up to receive any updates and news, any webinars that will be coming up, as well as following on social media, as we will post any public webinars there. And we have different topics throughout the year, some that are already planned and some that might happen as a result of a change on the ground that may require for us to create a specific topic that will address whatever is happening at that moment.
Excellent. And as ever, Women's March does have lots of trainings coming up as we prepare for the Free America Walkout. So stay tuned, watch your emails. We will be getting all of these links and more in your email to follow up with tonight. Thank you all for being here with us. Thank you for taking the time out of your nights to be here in community with all of our amazing guests. Thank you so much to our guests for your insights and for your incredible work to make a freer America. Good night, everyone. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.